What we like to do tonight is make sure we give you what you want. It sounds pretty simple, but rather than do some silly drill out here and you all fall asleep and say, why did I come here? We want to make sure if there's something you want to know about how we do things, about our program, or just something in general, please ask, and we'll do the best job we can to talk about it. Whether it's O's and X's, but everybody sort of knows O's and X's. That's, in my opinion, not really the most important part of a program. If you don't know how to draw a play, or you don't know what to do out of bounds, or at the end of a game, well, then you probably shouldn't be coaching. So I assume we all know that stuff. There's no magic. I don't have any secret plays. And if I had one, then 400 people would have the same play. So I don't think that makes sense. But it's about organization. It's about discipline. It's about building the blocks, about relationships with your players. How do you get something out of somebody who's selfish or doesn't really compete the way you would like, or so on and so forth. All those things, I think, have more to do with winning and losing than being able to draw a certain kind of play. So with that, if there's somebody that has something specific that they want to ask me about our program, I'll be happy to unload the whole deal. The question is about character, that we talk a lot about character, and can you really change someone? If someone is selfish, can you change that and make him or her a part of the team? My bottom line is usually they am what they am. Very bad English. They am what they am. So if this kid is selfish, you're not changing him. It's going to come out in the wash. It's going to come out in an important part of the game, and you've got to get rid of him. Bye-bye. The fiber of your team is the beginning of everything that you do. We talk about, we want players who have gotten over themselves. If you've gotten over yourself, you know it's not about you. It's about this person, and what we do as a group. You say, well, how do you figure that out? Well, that's our job, to figure it out. In our case, when we're drafting somebody or signing someone, see those management guys over there, you know, we don't allow them to wear ties because that scares me. When there's a GM or an owner and he comes in a tie, I don't want to be there. You know, it's always trouble. But these guys are normal people. They go out and watch guys play, but it's not the game that I want them to watch. That's easy. You can tell he can play, he can shoot, he's a rebounder, he plays good D, blah, blah, blah. How did they react to their teammates in timeouts? They're losing the game, do they go hide? They're winning the game, and they beat their chests like they just discovered a cure for cancer. They don't realize it's just basketball. You know, you can see that in a person at practice, how hard they compete, how they react with their coach. Are they respectful to the game, to their teammates, to the coach? That tells you a whole lot more than if he's just a good player. So that starts to tell you about character. When you amass enough character on your team, you can probably handle someone who might be a little off the mark in one way, shape, or form, because he follows the example. So if you've got Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, and they've been with me forever. I've been with Timmy 18 or 19 years. Tony and Manu, I don't know, 12 years, something like that. When you've been with someone, and a lot of this I understand, it has to do with continuity, your owners, your bosses, your managers, some of them are very foolish, and they want something done in a day and a half, or you're gone. Other ones are smart enough to know that it takes time. That's part of the fortune you hope that you get along the way, and I've gotten that. But if your program starts with people like that, everybody else can fit in because they follow the example. It's very hard for someone to be too much of a jerk when they're around a bunch of good people. They sort of blend in. So you can handle that one person because maybe he or she has some particular talent you can use on your team. But it's not easy. You have to follow through. You have to be true to your principles. That person that you think is going to be good, he's going to be good, he's got potential, he's going to get you fired. You know, potential's potential, and it doesn't always happen. So you have to make those kinds of decisions to decide what kind of team you want to have. The other part of it is you want to enjoy yourself. Seasons are long. There's lots of different situations that you're in. You wake up in the morning, you're a grown man or a grown woman. You want to spend your day with jerks. You want to hate yourself going to practice because you got to put up with this idiot. You know, the hell with them. You don't want to do that. So there's a reason. It's pretty simple. So I often wonder, but I look at teams that are just loaded with talent. All the players are angry because they don't have enough minutes. The coach isn't playing me the right way. I should have done this. Well, it's your fault for putting that group together. Get rid of them and start at the basic bottom line with character. Now, obviously, they have a certain level of ability. You know, you can get 10 people who are the worst players in the world, but they're great people, and you're going to lose still. So you have to have a certain level of talent before you do the character thing. With us, everybody always asks, you know, why do you have so many foreign players? Well, on our team, we have 9. So more than half of our team were not born or played in the U.S., which is strange, you know, for the NBA. There are players everywhere. And there was a time when, you know, America was way ahead of the game, and everyone else was learning the game in other parts of the world, and we sort of lost our way as far as the fundamentals and the skills and the work ethic. And I always blame ESPN, because every night you put on ESPN and either somebody's shooting from here or they're dunking, you know, it's strange. Like, I hate the 3-point shot. I think it's like the lottery or something. Why don't they have a 6-point shot and shoot it from up here? And it could be like a carnival, you know, and you can shoot and you get 6 points. And it's not basketball anyway. And I have to use that, and we happen to be the best in the league from the 3-point line last year. So I'm not stupid, but I hate it still. It's not real basketball to me. Then we'll shoot some on Wednesday and hope we make some, but it's the ugly part of the game. Ugly, ugly. Where was I? I don't know. Where the hell was I? See, you didn't even know where. You're not even listening anymore. Jesus. Yeah, so the foreign guys. So I found that coming over here, all of a sudden they seem more skilled, more ready to have ball movement, people movement, playing unselfishly. Where our game kind of started to be one-on-one and sort of a macho braggadocio sort of thing. Now it's gone back the other way. Not that you all have lost your way, but we've found our way again, and all the young kids are concentrating more on fundamentals and skills and team play. And I think we did a pretty good job of that last year in the finals, and hopefully set some sort of an example that can be followed, because it's a great way to play, and it's a lot more fun for everybody. That was a long answer to your question, I guess. But the question is about motivation. If it's a long season, and if you're playing a team that's not very good, how do you get your team to be serious on those nights? You did your job already if you have people of character who understand. In our case, preseason, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 games, and 82 games, and then the playoffs. To win it, you have to win 16. So you end up playing whatever, I don't know, 20, 25 games after that. So it's a lot of games. And what I do is I play my bench a lot. And, you know, some coaches are afraid to do that because maybe you're going to lose. But it's important to develop the bench. And the bench is going to be very motivated, especially on those nights when you're playing a poor team and maybe they get an opportunity to get more minutes that night. Maybe you rest one of your better players, or instead of playing X number of minutes, it's X minus 10, or that sort of thing. I think your bench is really important in that motivation for those games. And you'll be surprised sometimes. You'll find a player. You'll find that so-and-so deserves more minutes or complements the starting team very well. So that's one way to motivate in those situations. The other one is you depend on their character, because you know who they are. They understand that all the games are important as far as how you're seeded for playoffs and that kind of thing. I think you have to have accountability. For us, the thing that works best is total, brutal, between the eyes honesty. I never try to trick a player or manipulate them, tell them something that I'm going to have to change next week. If it's Tim Duncan, and if it's a timeout and I don't think he's doing what he should be doing, I'll ask him. So are you going to rebound tonight? Are you going to rebound at all? Or are you just going to walk up and down and then we're going to go to dinner? What are we going to do? And, you know, he'll listen, and then we'll walk back onto the court and he'll turn to me and say, "Hey, Pop, thanks for the motivation." Because he's a wise ass. So, very kind one. But, you know, I think being honest with people is great. Somebody's doing well, you tell them they did well. But you don't have a different system for Duncan and Parker and Ginobili than you do for number 12, 13, and 14. And a lot of people are afraid of that. You want the best players to like you, you know, for all the reasons. It won't work. It'll bite you in the bum after a while. You need to have the same standards forever. You can treat people differently, and because each one is different, but they all have to march to the same drummer, to the same standards. If you're talking about transition defense, Ginobili's got to get back just like everybody else. And he's got to yell ball, and he's got to make sure that we're all organized, or I'm going to be on his ass. And I have to have the fortitude to be able to do that. The more character that kid has, the easier it is for me to show that fortitude to go after him. But if he has no character, or I'm weak as far as being honest, then over time you have a problem. So I think the demands have to be the same of everybody. And those other players see it. When you're on Duncan's fanny or Parker, they see it, and they know it's fair. And they want to play for you. And it just compounds geometrically. It just keeps going, and you end up having a really good situation. Yes, the question is, how do we go about assessing talent and put that together, and the coaches involved or just management? He's under the impression that we work together. No, they do what I tell them to do. No, not really. We have a participatory sort of arrangement, because the first thing that will wreck a team is the tension there might be between ownership and the coaches and the managers, and everybody has their own territory, and everybody's ready to point. You know, that was my draft pick. I told you not to draft him. Play my guy. I'm not going to play your guy. The owner wants you to win. And all of a sudden, everybody starts getting defensive, and you see people marking their territory like a dog, and the walls go up, and then it's over. And usually, who's the first one to go? It's going to be the coach. You know, not the GM, not the owner. It's going to be the coach. So we believe in a participatory deal. So those guys over there, they're asleep already. R.C. Buford, our general manager, he and I have been together for since the 80s. So we have a good relationship. We're great friends, and we know each other. We can tell each other, you know, what we think, and then go have a beer together and not worry about it. But we do everything as a group. It's not the managers will meet, because they do more work in evaluating talent, coming to Europe to watch players play, go to high schools, see all that. When draft time comes and the season's done, then I come in and they try to make me smarter. You know, I'll look at the film, look at the top names and all that, and then we discuss it, then we argue. So in a room, and all the assistants, everybody will be there. There might be 20 people in the room. I know it sounds a little unwieldy, but I don't care where an idea comes from. You have to be comfortable enough in your own skin to realize an idea can come from, where's Neil? Neil, where are you? Neil, he looks like a big-time important guy. Came over here and gave a speech, you know, he introduced me. He started in my film room. He's a film guy, acting like Mr. Big over here, you know. So he was in there. He sat in there and watched us argue and tell each other we were crazy and all that. So all the coaches, all the managers are in there, and you do your thing. And by the end of it, you decide who you want to draft, who you want to trade. When we're having coaches meetings, my coaches meetings are open. They can come in any time, hear us arguing about so-and-so stinks, I'm not playing him, I'm playing so-and-so instead. Why aren't we doing this on the pick and roll and all that? Because I want them to know what kind of players I want, we're looking for. We do it together. So if we win a championship or we lose in the first round, we did all that together and life goes on. I'm not overly sad, maybe for a couple days, if we lose in the first round. And I'm not all that excited if we win a championship, because it's basketball. Get over yourself. Bust your ass, do the best you can do, and then go home or go get a beer. But it's not to be jumping off a building in a loss or thinking that you're some kind of a hero if you win. You know, if you win, act like you do it all the time and you didn't do anything special. If you lose, go back to work. Try to figure it out. So for us, it's participatory, to answer your deal. That's important. He says, is character the reason you guys were able to recover from that? Yeah, partly. But I'll tell you what we did. I mean, it was a tough loss in Game 6. And one thing you got to do is you got to question yourself, too. We're up 5 with 29 seconds to go. Should I have fouled? Of course, Coach Messina will say, yeah, you idiot, you should have fouled. You know, that kind of thing. Because everybody in Europe fouls all the time. You give the ball. We're not smart enough. We don't figure it out. We grew up a different way. I don't know. We still argue about it all the time, with what you should do and all that. But the point is, we did what we did, whatever, and we lost in Game 6. Devastating loss, because for all intents and purposes, the championship was in our hand. It was done. And it slipped away. It hurt badly. It hurt very badly. And it was more than 2 days that I was sad, so I lied before. But how do you get over that? How do you get them back? Sure, if they have character, it helps. But again, it's all about honesty and straightforward between the eyes. They sat down when we started training camp, and they watched every minute of Games 6 and 7. That was hard for them. Every minute. Because what I didn't want is them feeling sorry for themselves, having a pity party, and say, oh, the basketball gods were against us. We probably should have won it, but you know, it wasn't us. The basketball gods just weren't in our favor. We didn't get the offensive rebound, and he hit a 3. And then we didn't get the next offensive rebound, and they hit another 3. And then this guy missed a free throw, but it was the basketball gods. That's the last thing I wanted. I wanted them to feel the pain all over again, let them know that it was in our hands and we could have done A, B, and C to finish the game off. We didn't do it. And we're not going to blame the coach, and we're not going to blame that player. We blew it. And we're going to look at every frame of this film and see what we could have done. And we did it. And then I just asked them, this season will be a measure of who each of us is as a human being. This will be the measure of your character, of your courage, of your fortitude, to see if we can get back to where we were. And we will or we won't. And that's how we started it. So I guess since we won, it worked. If we didn't win, would you say it didn't work? You know, that's part of the thrill of sport. But to get there again, I was never more happy for a team. And it was, of the 5 championships, it was clearly the most enjoyable because of the loss the year before. So that's how we looked at it. He asked about leadership and how important it is, or from the players, and how they do it, different styles, and over the years, some examples. All kinds of leaders. You know, we talk about some leaders are born, some are made, this, that, and the other. You can tell who's a leader and who's not. I mean, you just feel it. It's just an intrinsic quality, I think, that is obvious in certain people and others just aren't. But people do it differently. When we had Avery Johnson, he would wave the towel, and he was a very talkative guy. He would guard someone out here, and he would talk to them the whole time, and he'd say, "Go ahead, beat me, beat me, beat me. But on your way down, say hi to David Robinson. Go ahead, go say hi to David." You know, that kind of thing. And then he'd go, "David, he's coming, David." And he would talk the whole time. And that's a true story. And I kind of changed. He didn't say Dave, he called him 5-0. He'd say, "Go see 5-0. Go see 5-0. He's waiting for you. You can beat me, but it ain't going to do you any good." And so the team would respond to him because that's what he was. Tim Duncan, you know, you might think he doesn't even speak. But he does it differently. He does it by example. Like before practice starts, he'll have one of those shooting deals, you know, on the rim with the net and all that kind of stuff. And so he's out here shooting, maybe for 20 minutes, 30 minutes before practice. Practice ends, he's back out there again. He's shooting, or he's on the block doing moves. Does it much more slowly now than he used to, but it's the same move. Jumps about that high. And, you know, we're still trying to figure out how we won Game 6 against Oklahoma City. When he scored 3 times in a row against Ibaka, and every time he shot, I was waiting for it to go in the 20th row, you know, and it just didn't. He figures it out, but he does it with a tactile sense. It sounds strange, but he touches people all the time, and it's like magnetic or something. So you know, there's a timeout, and everybody's walking to the bench. It could be any. It could be Bellinelli. It could be Parker. It could be Patty Mills. And he'll grab him, and he'll pull him over to the bench. He'll have his arm around them, or he'll have his hand on the top of their head, rubbing it, and they'll sit down. And we try to generate that by allowing them to have their time in the timeout. This might work for a lot of you. I don't know. Maybe some already do it, but there's a timeout, and the players go sit down, and I bring the coaches out here first during the timeout, and we talk. You know, make the owner think we know what we're doing, and we're thinking about some strategy that's really cool. And we're just talking about where to go to dinner after the game. But sometimes you got to play the game a little bit. So we're doing that. But I do that because they know at the timeout I want them to talk. So oftentimes while we're doing that, Timmy or Mon or whatever, they'll take a chair, they'll be here, they'll sit in the chair, and they'll be talking to the players. So we'll come to the timeout, and I'll just stand there like a dummy. You know, I'll just waiting for him to get done, and you know, he'll look up and he'll go, "Okay." You know, so they'll get up, I'll sit in the chair. I'll say, "Are we straight? Everybody good?" And last time they'll say, "Yeah." I say, "Okay, go ahead." And they go back out and play. Or if nobody did that, I'll come down and I'll say, "You guys got anything?" And lots of times they say, "No." You know, they'll look at me and I'll say, "Well, we got to get back to transition D better. You know, we got to do this." But I tell them one thing, because the most amazing thing to me is you see TV, you'll see some coach, he'll go, "Okay, now we got to rebound the basketball." Really? I didn't know that, you know. But they'll continue. We got to rebound that basketball, and you got to stop him. You got to stop him. We don't want contested shots. You got to move that ball. Hit the open man. Really? You know. And so you say, like, you think about it, and you've probably all done it at some point, and because you want to get that knowledge out there, and you think everything you say like that is going to make them better. They're not going to get better during that game. You know, you're just wasting your time. So instead of telling them 6 things, and you know, if there was some kind of magic X-ray deal, you'd see the words going in here and out here. Just keep going. They don't hear a damn thing you're saying. So pick something. So what we'll do is, like, let's say that we're getting burned on pick and roll. So I'll look at them and say, well, what do you want to do on pick and roll? And they'll look at each other like, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. Because I gave you something, but you're not doing it. Timmy, you're not in the lane where you're supposed to be. Tony, you're not pushing them down the sideline. And we're in push. So you tell me what you want to execute. Because I can draw up anything you want, but if you don't go execute it, it's not going to work. So I'm not trying anymore. You tell me what the hell you want to do. And then they'll say, well, we'll do the same thing, but we'll execute it, Pop. Okay, guys, you know, go do your best. Go out there and execute. So the timeouts are important because it engenders some talk, some leadership on their part to answer your questions. And, you know, sometimes, especially play, I mean, Tony Parker will sit there, he'll get after him, you know, say, you know, we got to, Kawhi, come on, Kawhi. They're going to double team you, you know, you're going to double team you. You can almost just make one dribble knowing they're coming and get rid of the damn thing. Let's go. And that's when I, you know, it's good. All right. You guys go. And I don't have to say anything. So I think timeouts are really important. They calm guys down, calm the girls down, do what you got to do, briefly, succinctly, and then let them go back and play. But it helps some guys be better leaders because they don't want to say some things in front of the coach. Like, you know, you might be one of those people in school that, you know, you're afraid to raise your hand. So you just sit there and not ask the question and you wish you would have. They'll talk to each other a whole lot more if they're together than if we're over them all the time. And I think it's a big help for us, for our program. Well, would I like to coach in Europe? Absolutely, and I have 2 places picked out. And I have T-shirts that are already made up, and I'm hoping that the owners will think about me. So if we have some more success, hopefully somebody will give me a chance. But the 2 places are the Positano Tigers and the Portofino Flyers. Those are the 2 places that I want to coach. So I'm hoping that they'll call someday and take me. Specific goals for the team. I have none. You know, you can read all kinds of books about goal setting, and you have to have goals. You're never going to get there. My goals are very basic and general. We don't talk about, we have to have the most wins. You know, we had the most wins in the league last year. We didn't set out to do that. It happened. We don't talk about winning the conference. We don't talk about winning a championship. Honest, cross my heart. Never in 1 year did I know we're going to get this done. We are the best team. February, March, April, we are going to kick ass. It's obvious we're the best team. Never have we talked about that or felt like that. It's ingrained in those guys that it's a journey, it's a process, it's difficult. The joy is in the process. The joy isn't really the final culmination. It fades away pretty quick. And life goes on. But that journey is what you're proud of. That process is what you feel the camaraderie for with your teammates. And when Sean Elliott or Avery Johnson or Mario Elliott or David Robinson or Bruce Bowen, you know, come by the gym or whatever now, they're proud of what they did together as a group for that whole time. And so the goal for us has been to be the best prepared team we can be by playoff time and the most healthy. And that's why lots of times I'll sit Ginobili that night, I'll sit Duncan, I'll sit Parker, sometimes I sit all 3 of them. The league gets very angry at me. And then it costs you $250,000 and that sort of thing. But it is important, I think, to have the big picture rather than, okay, this week, let's win 3 out of these 5 games. It's not the deal. So what it means is we can't skip steps, and we start at the beginning. So for training camp this year, when we started a few days ago in San Antonio, like the first drill was like you do with these kids, like about like that. So you put a chair here, like a folding chair, you know, that you sit down in here, and then one at half court and one at 3/4 court. And there's a line here. These are the San Antonio Spurs. They think I'm crazy. There's a line here and there's a line over there. And they run up to this side of the chair and they jump stop. And some guys, you know, when you first get them, like the rookies, they come in. No, that's not the jump stop. You don't have to jump up in the air. You want to stick your feet in the ground. You're low here, and that's all it is. And then you're going to do a reverse pivot, or you're going to do an inside pivot, but you're not going to do it like this. You're going to stay low, and you're going to do it. That's the drill. Then they go to half court, and they do that. Then they go to three-quarter court, they do that. Then they come up the other side and go there. And that's where we start every single year. We don't start with a secret play, and we're going to change our defense, and we're going to do this year. We add a wrinkle to the offense, we'll add a wrinkle to the defense. Like I said, Coach Messina has already told me how bad my offense is, and he's going to change the whole thing. But it's the beginning of many building blocks to get back where they need to go. And I think that process, that pride in work on a daily basis, is what grows the spirit and grows the character and makes them feel like, and this is important, like they deserve to win the championship. Your team has to feel like they deserve it, like they've worked harder than everybody else. It doesn't necessarily mean you ran suicides all morning long. I mean, you know, that mental as much as the physical part, that they've prepared, they've gone over it, they've repeated the defensive drills, where a lot of teams, you capture them in training camp and you get into the season and you forget to repeat this and repeat this and repeat that, and all of a sudden the defense dissipates or the movement in the offense dissipates because you haven't been on top of it, practice by practice by practice. But that's where the beauty of the game is, and that's what builds you to be able to sustain yourself in playoffs or have a devastation like we did and come back from it. So those are the kind of goals that we have. Thanks for your attention.